Once upon a time, nestled between misty mountains and endless emerald forests, lay the tranquil kingdom of Liora. It was a land whispered about in legends where the skies were always painted with hues of dawn, and the rivers sang gentle lullabies to the earth. At the heart of Liora stood a grand castle, home to King Alaric and Queen Selene, rulers beloved by their people for their kindness and wisdom. Their family was a beacon of hope and joy, especially because of their 7 children, each as unique as the petals of a blooming flower. The 6 eldest were all brothers, tall, brave, and spirited. They were named Dorian, Caspian, Evander, Lucien, Thaddeus, and Felix. Each possessed a daring heart and an adventurous spirit. From dawn to dusk, they roamed the vast forests and secret trails surrounding the castle, seeking thrills and uncovering the mysteries of their world. Their youngest sibling, a girl named Liora, was the light of their parents' eyes. The only daughter, her gentle smile could soften even the harshest winter winds. She had deep chestnut hair that caught the sunlight like silk and eyes that shimmered like the stars that blanketed the Lioran skies. Though Liora was adored by her family, the court was a different place. Whispers and shadows often clouded her path. Jealous nobles who saw her as nothing more than a delicate child, unworthy of the family's legacy. But Liora's heart was pure and strong, full of a kindness that no darkness could dim. As the years passed, the 6 princes grew restless. The castle walls, though magnificent, felt like cages to their wild souls. The call of the unknown beyond the garden beckoned louder with each sunrise. Their parents, seeing the fire in their eyes, allowed them to explore the woods that bordered Liora, a dense labyrinth of towering oaks, shimmering lakes, and whispered secrets. Liora, too young to follow them into the wild, remained in the castle gardens, tending to her needlework and dreaming of the adventures her brothers shared when they returned. Some days, the sun warmed her cheeks and the fragrance of blooming lilies filled the air, but a quiet loneliness often settled around her like a soft cloak. One bright morning, the 6 brothers set off once more, laughter echoing through the air. They wandered deeper than ever before, finding paths overgrown and hidden by time. The forest seemed to hold its breath as they stepped cautiously along the twisting trail. Suddenly, the oldest brother, Dorian, bent down to tie his leather boot, and his eyes caught a narrow path curling away from the main trail. It was strange, almost inviting, a whisper calling him forth. With a mischievous grin, he beckoned his brothers to follow, eager for new discoveries. The path wound like a silver ribbon through the ancient woods, and as they ventured onward, the usual songs of birds began to fade. A strange hush fell over the forest, thick and heavy, as if warning travelers of unseen dangers. After a time, they stumbled into a clearing bathed in dappled sunlight. In its center stood a quaint stone cottage, covered in moss and crowned with smoke curling lazily from the chimney. Nearby, a chicken coop clucked softly, and perched on a wooden stool was a large black crow, its eyes glinting with uncanny intelligence. "Who lives out here, so far from the kingdom?" Caspian wondered aloud. "Maybe a woodcutter," suggested Evander, scanning for piles of chopped timber but finding none. In the middle of the garden lay a curious sight, a mound of enormous white feathers, soft and shimmering. It seemed as if someone was gathering them for a great task. As the brothers admired the feathers, the cottage door creaked open, and an old woman appeared. Her eyes were sharp, and her voice colder than the forest breeze as she spoke, "Visitors are not welcome here. What brings you to my land?" The brothers exchanged uneasy glances, but before they could reply, the woman's tone grew stern. "Do not touch the feathers. Those who do will suffer." Curiosity overcame caution. Some of the brothers reached out to pick up the feathers, but the moment their fingers brushed the soft down, a strange sensation washed over them, a stillness where time seemed to pause. When the spell lifted, only 2 of the brothers remained standing. The others had vanished, replaced by 4 majestic white swans, their wings beating against the air with wild grace. Confused and frightened, the remaining brothers watched helplessly as the swans took flight, disappearing into the forest canopy, leaving behind only scattered feathers. The old woman sighed deeply, her expression tinged with regret. "The curse is sealed. Only one with a pure heart and unyielding resolve can break it." Before the brothers could react, she vanished into the cottage, leaving the remaining 2 in stunned silence. Night fell, and the princes did not return home. Search parties scoured the woods for weeks, but no trace was found. The castle grew quiet with sorrow, the queen lay bedridden with grief, and the king's heart ached with despair. Liora, left alone amidst the shadows of the palace, felt a new resolve stir within her. She would not let her brothers be lost forever. With patience and courage, she vowed to unravel the curse and bring them back. Days passed in a blur of silence and shadows within the walls of the Lioran castle. The once lively halls were now heavy with absence. Queen Selene's health waned, her bright eyes clouded by sorrow. King Alaric's jovial voice was replaced by the heavy weight of command and endless worry. But in the quiet solitude of the garden, Liora found herself awakening to a new strength. Though barely 16, she was no longer the sheltered youngest sister. The mysterious disappearance of her brothers had ignited a fierce flame of determination inside her, one that no grief could extinguish. One cool morning, as the sun painted the sky with soft pinks and golds, Liora sat on her favorite stone bench, her delicate fingers tracing the embroidered pattern of a half-finished sleeve. Yet her thoughts were far away, swirling with memories of laughter, of her brother's playful teasing, and of that fateful day in the forest. Suddenly, a gentle breeze stirred the garden, carrying with it a faint, almost imperceptible whisper. The leaves trembled as if sharing a secret meant only for her ears. "Liora." The voice was soft but clear, echoing in her mind like the distant call of a bell. Startled, she scanned the garden but saw no one. The black crow from the forest clearing, she thought, but it was nowhere in sight. Determined, Liora rose and walked to the edge of the garden where ancient oaks guarded the boundary between the castle and the vast wilderness beyond. She felt a strange pull, an invisible thread tugging her toward the forest. Her heart quickened, a mix of fear and hope swirling within. She knew the journey ahead would be perilous, filled with unknown magic, shadowy creatures, and cruel enchantments. Yet, she felt ready. That evening, under the cloak of twilight, Liora packed a small satchel with essentials, needle and thread, a worn leather journal gifted by her mother, a silver dagger etched with runes for protection, and a small vial of lavender oil to calm her nerves. Before she slipped away, she knelt beside her mother's chamber and whispered a solemn vow. I will find them. I will bring them home. With silent footsteps, she left the castle, her eyes fixed on the dark silhouette of the forest. The first stars began to twinkle above as the whispering woods awaited her arrival. Inside the forest, the air was thick with the scent of pine and damp earth. Ilora's every step was met with the rustle of leaves and the occasional call of distant animals. Shadows danced between the trees, teasing her senses, but she pressed on. Suddenly, the black crow appeared, landing gracefully on a low branch nearby. Its intelligent eyes seemed to study her, and with a soft caw, it took flight, guiding her deeper into the woods. Hours passed, and the forest grew denser. Ilora found herself at the edge of a shimmering lake, its surface mirror smooth, reflecting the moonlight like a polished gem. She knelt by the water, gazing at her reflection, her face pale but resolute. It was here she remembered the old woman's warning, the curse that turned her brothers into swans. Ilora understood now, to save them, she would need to unravel the spell that bound them to these feathers. But how? Her fingers brushed against the silver dagger, feeling its comforting weight. Suddenly, the lake's surface rippled, and an ethereal figure emerged, a woman draped in flowing robes woven from moonbeams and stardust. I am Seraphina, guardian of the forest's ancient magic, the spirit spoke softly. The curse is powerful and cruel. Only one pure of heart, willing to endure great sacrifice, can break it. Ilora swallowed hard. Tell me what I must do. I will endure anything. Seraphina's eyes glimmered with compassion. You must weave 6 shirts from the swan's feathers, each stitch made in silence. Speak no word until the task is complete, or the curse will claim you as well. A heavy silence settled between them. Ilora nodded, accepting the daunting challenge. As the spirit faded into the night mist, Ilora felt the weight of her mission settle upon her shoulders, but also a glimmer of hope. She was no longer just a lonely princess. She was a sister, a warrior of love and patience, ready to fight the darkness that threatened her family. The dawn broke softly over the kingdom of Liora, casting a pale golden light through the tall windows of an abandoned tower deep within the forest. It was here that Ilora had found refuge, a quiet sanctuary surrounded by ancient trees and protected by the magic of the land itself. The princess had begun her painstaking work. Each day, she gathered the delicate white feathers that the enchanted swans had shed in hidden corners of the forest. Her nimble fingers cleaned, sorted, and prepared them for the daunting task ahead, weaving 6 shirts to break the curse on her brothers. But the trial was unlike any she had imagined. Ilora was bound by an unbreakable vow of silence. From the moment she started stitching, not a single word could escape her lips. No sigh, no murmur, no breath of complaint, only the quiet hum of determination filled the room. Days stretched into weeks. Loneliness gnawed at her heart like a silent predator. The absence of her voice made her world eerily still, and the weight of isolation was almost as cruel as the curse itself. Yet, she pressed on, stitch by stitch, the needle weaving threads of hope and love into the fabric of the enchanted shirts. But shadows lurked beyond her solitude. Back at the castle, rumors began to swirl like autumn leaves in a restless wind. The courtiers whispered of Ilora's strange behavior, her long absences, and her vow of silence. Some murmured that grief had unhinged her mind, others feared darker curses at work. Lady Mirabelle, a cunning noblewoman with eyes as sharp as daggers, seized the opportunity. She approached King Alaric with veiled concerns. "Your Majesty," she said with a honeyed voice, "the princess's silence is unnatural. Some say she is bewitched or even allied with the dark arts. Perhaps she endangers the throne itself." The king's face darkened, torn between love for his daughter and the seeds of doubt planted by those around him. Meanwhile, Ilora's only companion was the black crow whom she had named Corvin. The clever bird brought her morsels of food and sometimes, a message from the unseen spirits of the forest. One twilight, as Ilora stitched by the flickering light of a single candle, Corvin flew in with urgent news: "Beware the shadows that creep beyond the castle walls. Not all who wear a crown guard the heart of the kingdom." Ilora's eyes widened, but she remained silent, the vow binding her tongue. With her heart pounding, she realized that her quest was not only to break the curse but to protect her family from threats she could scarcely see. The forest, the curse, and the court all intertwined in a web of magic, mystery, and peril. Ilora steeled herself for what was to come. Her journey was no longer just about her brothers. It was about the very soul of Liora. The days grew colder as autumn bled into winter, cloaking the kingdom of Liora in a shroud of mist and frost. Inside the ancient tower where Ilora lived, time lost meaning. Her fingers, raw and nimble, continued to weave the enchanted feathers into delicate shirts one stitch at a time, an act of love born from desperation. Every moment of silence was a battle. Her heart ached not only for her lost brothers but for the voice she could no longer share with the world. Friends and family were distant memories, fading like the last colors of fall. Yet, beyond the cold stone walls of her refuge, a storm brewed within the castle. King Alaric's heart wrestled with doubt and worry, each whisper from the nobles sharpening his fears. Lady Mirabelle, with her silver tongue and hidden ambitions, tightened her grip on the throne's shadows. Her influence seeped like poison, turning allies into enemies and suspicion into accusation. One evening, in the dimly lit Great Hall, Lady Mirabelle met secretly with a group of trusted conspirators. Their voices were hushed but urgent. "The princess's silence weakens the kingdom's spirit," Mirabelle whispered. "If she fails, the throne will crumble. We must act before her shadow darkens the court any further." A man cloaked in black, his face hidden beneath a hood, nodded slowly. "There are those who would see the crown fall and I shall be their blade." Meanwhile, Ilora's world grew ever smaller, the walls of her tower both sanctuary and prison. But hope fluttered on fragile wings. Corvin, the black crow, had returned from his flight with a mysterious gift, a small, shimmering crystal carved with runes. Ilora held it tightly, feeling warmth pulse from within. It was a beacon, a guide from Serafina, The Forest Guardian. The crystal whispered secrets, a hidden path beyond the known woods, where magic slept beneath frozen rivers and ancient oaks. If Liora could reach it, she might find the power needed to save her brothers and confront the darkness threatening her family. Yet, the journey would be perilous. The path was guarded by spirits of old, and the curse itself would resist her every step. Days later, a storm battered the castle. Amid the roaring thunder and howling wind, a shadow moved silently through the corridors. A figure cloaked in midnight blue slipped into the queen's chamber. Queen Selene, pale and weak, lay resting, unaware of the intruder's silent presence. The figure knelt beside her bed and whispered, "Fear not, my queen. The wheel of fate turns. Soon, the truth will be unveiled and justice served." With that, the shadow vanished into the tempestuous night, leaving behind only the faintest trace of hope. Back in the tower, Liora prepared for what lay ahead. The shirts were halfway complete, but time was running short. Her fingers trembled as she touched the crystal, feeling the weight of destiny settle upon her young shoulders. In the distance, the castle bells tolled, echoing through the silent woods like a mournful song. Liora took a deep breath, steadying her heart. She was ready to face the trials for her brothers, for her family, and for the kingdom of Liora. The moon hung low and silver over the kingdom of Liora as Liora stepped cautiously from the safety of her tower. The crystal's soft glow lit her path, casting long shadows across the frost-covered earth. The air was crisp, filled with the scent of pine and the distant whisper of the forest. Tonight marked the beginning of her journey beyond the known woods, into the heart of the enchanted realm where the curse's power was strongest. As she walked, Liora's mind raced with questions and fears. Would she be strong enough to face the ancient spirits guarding the hidden path? Could she withstand the silent torment of her vow? And what of the dangers lurking within the castle walls, plotting her downfall? Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, a tall, cloaked stranger with eyes like polished obsidian. "Liora of Liora," he said softly, his voice both familiar and strange. "I have waited long for your arrival." Startled yet curious, Liora steadied her voice. "Who are you? How do you know my name?" He lowered his hood, revealing a youthful face marked by a crescent scar beneath his left eye. "I am Calin, a guardian of the ancient woods. I once served your family, bound by honor and duty." Kalin's gaze was intense, and Liora sensed a hidden sorrow beneath his calm exterior. "I have come to aid you," he continued. "But beware, the path you tread is fraught with peril. The curse that binds your brothers is older and darker than you know." Together, they ventured deeper into the forest, where the trees grew tall and tangled, and the moonlight barely touched the mossy floor. As they walked, Calin shared tales of a shadowy force known as the Veil, a malevolent spirit that had cursed the royal family generations ago. It thrived on fear and silence, feeding off broken bonds and whispered lies. "The Veil watches your every step," Calin warned. "To break its hold, you must not only complete your task but also uncover the truth hidden in the shadows of your own court." Ilora's heart pounded. The conspiracy at home was darker and more dangerous than she had imagined. Hours passed, and the forest grew colder. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled, and spectral figures rose from the mist, ancient guardians of the woods. They blocked the path with hollow eyes and silent warnings. Ilora gripped her satchel tighter, the crystal glowing fiercely. Kalen stepped forward, chanting words in a forgotten tongue. A barrier of shimmering light encased them, protecting Ilora as she prepared to face her first true trial. With steady hands, she reached into her satchel, pulling out a single feather and beginning to weave, the thread glowing as if alive. The guardians watched, their ethereal forms softening with each stitch. When the shirt was complete, the barrier lifted, and the spirits bowed before her. "You have proven your heart's strength," they whispered in unison before fading into the night. Ilora exhaled, relief washing over her. Yet, she knew this was only the beginning. The path ahead promised greater trials, deeper secrets, and the chance to reclaim not only her brothers but the soul of Liora itself. The night deepened as Ilora and Kalen pressed onward through the tangled heart of the whispering woods. The ancient trees loomed like sentinels, their branches twisting toward the sky as if trying to hold back secrets older than time itself. Ilora's breath formed small clouds in the chilly air, her hands steady despite the weight of the 6 unfinished shirts in her satchel. The crystal Seraphina had given her pulsed with a faint blue light, illuminating the narrow path ahead. Kalen moved with the grace of a shadow, his keen eyes scanning their surroundings for any sign of danger. The silence between them was comfortable, filled with the unspoken knowledge of shared purpose. After hours of walking, they came upon a clearing bathed in silver moonlight, a glade so beautiful and serene it seemed untouched by the curse that plagued the kingdom. But the air was thick with magic, a palpable tension humming beneath the stillness. "This is the Forbidden Glade," Kalen whispered. "A place where few dare tread. It is said that the Veil's power is strongest here." Ilora's heart quickened. This was the next step in her journey, a trial not only of skill but of spirit. As they stepped into the glade, the crystal's glow intensified, casting dancing shadows across the ancient stones that ringed the clearing like silent watchers. Suddenly, a figure appeared before them, a woman cloaked in flowing white robes, her eyes shining like stars. She spoke with a voice both melodic and commanding. "Ilora, bearer of the silent oath," she said. "You seek to break the curse, to restore what was lost. But the path you walk is fraught with sacrifice." The woman extended a hand, revealing a delicate silver ring inscribed with a single rune. "To proceed, you must swear a vow to remain silent not only in words but in spirit. To carry the burden alone, without falter or regret. Only then will the Veil's grasp weaken." Ilora looked to Kalen, who nodded solemnly. Without hesitation, Ilora slipped the ring onto her finger, feeling a surge of power ripple through her. "I swear," she whispered, though no sound escaped her lips. The vow was etched into the very fabric of her soul. The woman smiled gently before vanishing like morning mist. In that moment, Ilora felt the weight of her silence deepen, binding her tighter to the task ahead. As they journeyed deeper into the woods, Callan shared stories of the Vale, how it had once been a guardian spirit twisted by betrayal and sorrow, now feeding on the broken hearts of the royal family. Ilora's resolve hardened. She would not let the past destroy her future. But the shadows were not idle. Back at the castle, Lady Mirabelle's plots grew bolder. Secret meetings, whispered accusations, and dark alliances threatened to engulf the throne in chaos. King Alaric, torn between love and suspicion, struggled to discern truth from deception. Ilora's silence was weaponized against her, and the kingdom teetered on the brink of ruin. Yet, amidst the storm, a flicker of hope endured. Ilora's journey was only beginning, but with each silent stitch, each sacrifice made in shadow, she wove not just shirts but the threads of redemption for her brothers, her family, and all of Liora. The cold wind swept through the ancient forest as Ilora and Callan ventured further into the realm of forgotten magic. Every step forward felt like stepping deeper into a dream woven from both hope and despair. The silent oath weighed heavily on Ilora's soul. Not only was she forbidden to speak, but every emotion she felt had to be restrained, lest it betray her resolve. Yet, Callan's presence was a balm, his steady gaze and quiet confidence a reminder she was not truly alone. Suddenly, the trees seemed to close in around them, shadows lengthening and twisting into shapes both familiar and terrifying. The Vale was near. Without warning, ghostly figures emerged, translucent phantoms of past royal ancestors, trapped in sorrow and regret. They whispered secrets of betrayal within the royal court, tales of ambition, jealousy, and dark magic that had torn the family apart generations ago. Ilora's heart clenched. The conspiracy that Lady Mirabelle wove was but a thread in a tapestry far older and darker. Callan drew his dagger, its blade shimmering with protective runes. We must move swiftly. The Vale seeks to consume not only your brothers but your very spirit. Navigating through the whispering shadows, they came upon a forgotten altar entwined with silver vines and glowing crystals. This was the heart of the curse, a place where Ilora's silent trial would reach its ultimate test. She knelt and began to weave the fourth sherd, each stitch trembling with the weight of centuries of pain and hope. The spirits watched, their ethereal eyes flickering with ancient sorrow. Back in Liora, the castle was a tempest of political intrigue. Lady Mirabelle had gained the ear of several nobles, their loyalty shifting like sand in the storm. The king's counselors debated fiercely, some urging a confrontation with the silent princess, others fearing that Ilora's mysterious quest might be the kingdom's last hope. In the shadows of the great hall, a masked stranger moved silently, gathering secrets and whispering promises to those desperate enough to listen. Ilora's fate was entwined not only with magic but with the very survival of Liora's crown. As the fourth sherd took shape, Ilora's spirit was tested like never before, the pain of silence pressing against the fragile threads of hope. Yet, through the darkness, a faint light glimmered, the unwavering bond of family, the courage to face shadows both within and without. The forest around Ilora seemed alive, breathing in rhythm with her own heartbeat. Every rustle of leaves whispered forgotten tales, every flicker of shadow hinted at secrets buried deep beneath the earth. Guided by Callan and the faint glow of the crystal, Ilora arrived at a clearing unlike any she had seen before, an ancient ruin half swallowed by roots and vines, its stones etched with runes that shimmered faintly in the moonlight. This place, Kalen said solemnly, is where the curse was born, a chamber hidden beneath the forest floor, sealed by magic long ago. Together, they searched for an entrance, brushing aside moss and tangled branches until a narrow fissure yawned before them. Liora peered into the darkness, a chill crawling up her spine. She felt the weight of centuries pressing down, but also a strange pull as if the chamber itself called to her. Kalen lit a torch, and they descended into the earth. Inside, the walls glowed with symbols of light and shadow, telling the story of the Veil, once a guardian spirit betrayed by those it loved, cursed to dwell in darkness, feeding on broken bonds. As they moved deeper, Liora felt a presence, a pulse of energy that resonated with her own silent oath. Suddenly, from the shadows emerged a figure cloaked in silver, eyes gleaming like stars. "I am Lysandra," she said, voice like wind over water. "Keeper of the Veil's truth. To break the curse, you must face not only magic but the darkest memories of your family." Liora's breath caught. Lysandra's gaze pierced through her silence, reading the pain and hope entwined in her soul. "Are you ready to confront the shadows within?" Lysandra asked. Liora nodded, determination blazing in her eyes. Meanwhile, at the castle, Lady Mirabelle's schemes reached a crescendo. Secret letters flew between allies, and whispers of rebellion stirred in the nobles' halls. King Alaric found himself besieged by doubts. Could he trust those closest to him? Was his daughter truly a danger, or the kingdom's salvation? In a hidden chamber beneath the throne room, a group of conspirators met by candlelight. Plans were laid to seize power, with Mirabelle at the center, poised to strike when the kingdom was most vulnerable. Back in the depths of the forest, Liora began weaving the fifth sherd, each stitch pulling her closer to the heart of the curse and the truth behind the Veil's betrayal. The air thickened with magic and memory, and Liora steeled herself for the final trials ahead. The deeper Liora delved into the shadowed depths of the ancient chamber, the heavier the air grew, thick with the weight of forgotten sorrows and unspoken betrayals. Every rune on the wall seemed to pulse with a silent lament, whispering secrets only the purest heart could hear. Lysandra stood beside Liora, her silver robes shimmering faintly in the torchlight. "To break the curse," she said softly, "you must face the fractures in your family's past, the broken bonds that allowed the Veil's darkness to take root." Iliora's eyes searched the shadows, bracing herself for the visions to come. Suddenly, the chamber seemed to dissolve around her, replaced by vivid memories not her own. She saw her ancestors, once noble and wise, torn apart by jealousy and fear. A trusted advisor, consumed by envy, had twisted the Veil's power into a weapon of vengeance. The royal family's love had fractured, and the Veil had fed on their pain, growing stronger with each betrayal. Tears welled in Iliora's eyes as the scenes shifted to her parents' court, whispers of distrust, the growing distance between her and the nobles, and the sinister plots that threatened to undo all they had built. Lysandra's voice broke through the visions. "You must mend these bonds with your own silent sacrifice. The curse feeds on brokenness, but it can be undone with unwavering love and endurance." Liora reached into her satchel, pulling forth the nearly finished fifth sherd. Her fingers trembled as she began to sew the final stitches, each one a vow of forgiveness and hope. Outside the chamber, the forest seemed to hold its breath. Meanwhile, back in Liora, tensions escalated. Lady Mirabelle's conspirators moved to seize control, sowing discord and fear. King Alaric found himself isolated, his trust shattered like glass. Ilora's silence was weaponized against her. Rumors of madness and dark magic spread like wildfire. But unknown to them all, a loyal ally in the court, Sirthalan, gathered those still faithful to the crown, preparing to stand against the encroaching darkness. As Ilora finished the fifth sherd, a surge of energy rippled through the chamber. The crystal Seraphina had given her blazed with radiant light, illuminating the ancient runes and washing away centuries of shadow. The veil's hold weakened, but the final, greatest trial awaited. Ilora's heart ached, her silent sacrifice heavier than ever. Yet, she knew the fate of her brothers, her family, and the kingdom depended on her strength. With resolve burning bright, she steeled herself for the ultimate challenge, a sacrifice that would test the limits of her courage and love. The dawn broke cold and grey as Ilora stood before the final trial, a cavernous hall deep beneath the ancient forest, where the veil's essence pulsed like a living shadow. The air was thick with magic, and every breath seemed heavy with unseen dangers. Kalen stood beside her, his eyes steady but wary. "This is where the curse will be broken, or where it will claim you," he said quietly. Inside, the veil manifested as a swirling darkness, shifting and morphing, whispering promises of power and despair. "Child of silence," it hissed, "why do you resist? Join me, and all your pain will end." Ilora's heart pounded, but she remained silent, gripping the 6 shirts she had painstakingly woven. Each shirt shimmered with the hope and sacrifice of countless days and nights. The veil lashed out with tendrils of shadow, probing her resolve and testing her vow. But Ilora's love for her brothers and family burned like a beacon, pushing back the darkness. As the battle raged, memories flooded her mind, laughter shared with her brothers, the kindness in her parents' eyes, and the hope that had carried her through silence and solitude. With a final, silent prayer, she wrapped the shirts around her, binding them with the crystal's light. The veil screamed, its darkness fracturing and dissolving into a cascade of shimmering feathers. Outside the cavern, the 6 princes transformed, their swan forms melting away to reveal the brothers she had fought so hard to save. They embraced Ilora, tears mingling with laughter. But the battle for Liora was not over. News arrived that Lady Mirabelle's rebellion had erupted into open conflict within the castle walls. Ilora, Kalen, and her brothers raced back, determined to reclaim their home and heal the fractured kingdom. Together, they faced the darkness both within the forest and in the hearts of men, weaving a new dawn for Liora, one bound by love, sacrifice, and the unbreakable bonds of family. The sun had barely risen over the kingdom of Liora when the air was shattered by the clamorous roar of rebellion. Lady Mirabelle's forces, emboldened by treachery and ambition, surged through the castle gates, turning once peaceful halls into a chaotic battleground. Ilora, now reunited with her 6 brothers, stood tall in the grand hall, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and fierce determination. The 6 shirts she had woven, imbued with ancient magic and sacrifice, shimmered faintly beneath her cloak, a testament to the silent oath she had borne. Caspian, the eldest prince, tightened his grip on his sword. This is our home. We will not let it fall. Kalin, standing at Ilora's side, nodded sharply. The veil's shadow still lingers, but together, we are stronger. The clash of steel echoed through the marble corridors as loyal knights rallied to defend their king and kingdom. Ilora's brothers moved with practiced grace, their years of wandering the wildlands honing their skills. But Lady Mirabelle was cunning. Her spies had infiltrated deep into the castle's defenses, and as the battle raged, a silent blade struck from the shadows, an attempt on King Alaric's life. The king collapsed, blood staining his regal robes. A gasp swept through the defenders. Ilora's eyes blazed with fury and grief. We must protect the king. Hold the line. Meanwhile, in the throne room, Lady Mirabelle stood with a cruel smile, her ambitions nearly fulfilled. But a shadow moved behind her. Sir Thelen, the loyal knight, emerged with a band of reinforcements. A fierce duel ensued, blades flashing in the dim light. Thelen's unwavering loyalty clashed with Mirabelle's ruthless cunning. Elsewhere, Ilora faced her own trial. The silence she had maintained for so long now weighed on her like a chain, but the urgency of the moment demanded action. With a swift motion, she drew the silver dagger etched with runes and joined the fray, her presence inspiring those around her. As the battle swelled, hidden truths came to light. Some nobles, swayed by Mirabelle's promises, turned on their former allies, while others found their courage rekindled by Ilora's bravery. Through the chaos, the 6 princes fought fiercely, their bond unbreakable. One by one, they reclaimed halls and corridors, driving back the rebels. In a final confrontation atop the castle's highest tower, Ilora faced Lady Mirabelle. The two women, embodiments of love and ambition, destiny and betrayal, clashed in a battle of wills. Words remained unspoken, but their eyes conveyed the centuries of pain, sacrifice, and hope entwined in their fates. With a decisive strike, Ilora disarmed Mirabelle, binding her with the enchanted shirts, a symbol that the curse of silence was now a force for justice. As dawn broke fully over Liora, peace settled once more. King Alaric, though wounded, smiled with pride at his daughter and sons. Ilora's silent sacrifice had not only broken the curse but had restored the heart of the kingdom. The court rejoiced, old wounds began to heal, and the bonds of family shone brighter than ever. But Ilora knew the road ahead was long, and the magic of Liora would always demand vigilance, courage, and love. The sun rose over the kingdom of Liora like a promise reborn, bathing the land in warm golden light. After the long night of battle, the castle stood proud, its scars a testament to courage, sacrifice, and the unyielding bond of family. Ilora stood on the highest balcony, the gentle breeze caressing her face, carrying with it the sense of blooming flowers and fresh earth. The 6 shirts she had woven lay folded neatly beside her, symbols of silent sacrifice, love, and hope that had broken the ancient curse. Her brothers, once swans bound by dark magic, now stood tall and strong beside her: Dorian, Caspian, Evander, Lucien, Thaddeus, and Felix. Their eyes shone with gratitude and admiration for the sister who had dared to face silence and shadows for their sake. King Alaric, restored and regaining strength, approached with Queen Selene at his side. The royal family, united once more, embodied the resilience of Liora. "Liora," the king said, his voice thick with emotion, "you have given us all a gift beyond measure, the light of hope, the power of love, and the strength to heal." Liora smiled softly, her silence now a peaceful quietude rather than a heavy burden. As the court gathered in celebration, old wounds began to mend. Lady Mirabelle, stripped of her power, was granted mercy, a reminder that even in darkness, redemption could be found. In the days that followed, Liora and her brothers worked to restore harmony to the kingdom. They listened to the people's stories, healed broken relationships, and nurtured the magic that once again flowed freely through the forests and fields. Liora's silent vow had transformed into a legacy, a testament that sometimes, the greatest strength lies not in words spoken, but in the courage to persevere, the patience to endure, and the love that binds hearts beyond silence. Under the vast Lioran sky, the royal family walked hand in hand through the blossoming gardens, their laughter ringing clear and true, a melody that would echo through the ages. And so, the kingdom of Liora flourished anew, a land where light overcame shadow, and where the silent heart spoke the loudest truths. Title: The Silent Oath of Liora, a tale of love, sacrifice, and redemption. Description: In the enchanting kingdom of Liora, 6 princes are cursed and transformed into swans by a dark ancient magic. Their youngest sister, Liora, bound by a silent oath, embarks on a perilous journey to break the curse and save her family. Guided by mysterious guardians, facing shadowy conspiracies within the royal court, and enduring trials that test her courage and resolve, Liora's silent sacrifice weaves a tale of unwavering love and hope. The Silent Oath of Liora is a captivating fantasy story of resilience, betrayal, and the unbreakable bonds of family that transcend silence and darkness.